Here is a Frigidaire Signature 2000 automatic dehumidifier with frost control. This was free from Globface Marketplace, and not only was it free, but it yielded a bunch of other stuff, because this was the unit I went to pick up when I discovered that the town it was in was having bulk pickup that week. And so on the same trip that I went to retrieve this, found a bunch of other good stuff too. So this is, I would guess, a product of the 90s, maybe even very early 2000s, maybe, probably not, most likely 90s. It's in pretty good condition. It's got kind of an unusual design. It's got a vent on the side where a lot of air does come out. It still has the circular evaporator, which is 2 layers thick. The bucket. Here's the informations. JRI Distributing Incorporated. I have no idea what that is. It is model 93202D. Oh, there we go. 04 of 1996, so it's a product of the mid-90s. It's rated at 40 pints per hour by the old standard. It's allowed to draw up to 7.5 amps, which it probably doesn't take anywhere near that. These tend to run kind of low because the condenser is getting the cold air from the evaporator, so the compressor is under very little load. R22, only 7.2 ounces. That's not very much at all. There's the automatic shutoff apparatus when it's full. And gosh. And I suspect somewhere in there is the automatic shutoff for the frost. We'll try to slip the cover off and take a look inside if it comes off quickly. Or at least the front panel. It's got some numbers or whatever on here. Alright, we got 2 screws on the bottom here. If those take the front cover off, we'll take a look inside. It seems like they're going to, at least the cover. Perfect. Huh, that's not what I was expecting. That fan motor is huge. So we have a reciprocating compressor. It's got a penguin on there for some reason. I don't know what the brand is. There's the discharge from the compressor. High side into the condenser. There's the return. Or that's not the return, rather. That's the capillary tube going into the evaporator. And that's the return. And most likely that is our frost sensor right there. This appears to be designed pretty well. Everything's insulated on the return, so there's no water dripping onto the compressor at all. There's pretty much no rust to speak of because it's all aluminium, the evaporator coil, so it's not going to rust. This fan motor looks like a McMillian motor, and it's absolutely gigantic for this tiny little fan. And it's a stinking plastic blade at that. What overkill. It's not quite a box fan size, it's almost almost there. This is the indicator light for the full, which I guess fell off of the cover, so I have to put that back. Everything looks like it's in pretty good shape. This is tied down. I recently got a comment from somebody about doing this, and the individual proposed that this is not the right way to do it, and that we should put a tie wrap around each individual layer. So like in this case, there would be a total of 4 tie wraps here, as opposed to just clamping them all together. And there's nothing wrong with doing it that way. That would accomplish the same thing, but I really don't think that this is going to cause any kind of problems, because there's no way that these tubes are going to be vibrating against each other under normal conditions. You know, it's not like the machine is going while it's running. You know, it's a little bit of vibration. It's not even so much like a side to side. It's a clanging, right? The tubes hit each other. That's what the problem is. So this solves the problem, and I think anything beyond this is just starting to get a little bit paranoid, which is, I understand doing that. It's, you know, you want to preserve the equipment as much as possible. But anyways, that's just, I figured I'd underscore that, since this was an example of the manufacturer doing this. The motor, I don't see information. Oh, there is information. It is a McMillian. It's a McMillian motor. It is 1.3 amps, 1550 RPM, Class B insulation. That is just total overkill for this application. You know, it's amazing, in the 90s we were still getting products like this that were built literally to run for decades. And in a matter of 10 years, it just transitions to complete and total garbage. I just don't get it. So this should have oil ports, I would think, but I don't see any. No, I don't see any oil ports. That kind of stinks. And the bearings are still free, but I'm sure it needs to be oiled. Really, the only failure point with these older dehumidifiers is typically this fan motor, because a lot of them require oil, or should I say, they all require oil. A lot of them call for regular lubrication by the user every 6 months, which typically never happens. Because this is hot, dry air coming out of here, it evaporates the oil quickly, and the bearings end up locking up, which is very unfortunate. That's caused a lot of these units to be discarded for no reason, or a reason that's very easily solved. So that's that. Excellent quality components inside. I would just take a random guess and say this is probably like an Umbraco compressor, something very common. But it's good quality pieces. It just it doesn't get any better than this. This is top of the line quality here, through and through. This machine, if you keep it clean and oiled, should run for decades with no problem. Made in USA. This, I believe, says Made in USA on it as well, does it? No, it doesn't, but I'm sure it probably was. And if it wasn't, it was built somewhere else to correct standards. Well, I think that's all there is to see on the inside. I have tested this just to see if it worked when I first got it. And it just seemed excessively loud. So I'm just kind of feeling around to see if there's some kind of vibration issues. One of the things I want to experiment with at some point is changing out this blade for a different style, because the fans on a lot of these were just extremely loud, and they don't even move a lot of air to begin with. There's probably other props out there that'll be much quieter, that would move about the same amount of air. So let's see what this, I don't understand what this would even hook on. There's no, like, does it hook onto something on the inside here? Oh, I see what it does now. This piece, no, it doesn't do that. Huh. Well, I have no idea how that's supposed to work. No, I have no idea. The wire is just barely long enough to reach up there. I wonder if something's missing. I mean, I could always just tape it in place. That's not a big deal. And of course, I mean, it's totally unnecessary to have the light. Well, I suppose if you're using the humidistat, I always just turn it all the way down. So in my case, if it's off, I know it's full. But we'll figure that out later. Just put that, stick that aside for now. Yeah, I have no idea. It almost, I can't fathom that this is the way it would go, but it almost seems like if we stuck this piece into the motor here, I can't imagine that that's the way it's supposed to be, but that would certainly line up the positioning would be correct. Is it really supposed to just stick in there like that? And it's backwards now, so I don't think so, but no, I guess that's not. I don't know. I have no idea how that's supposed to sit there. I have absolutely no idea. So this will likely go in service this year if I can get it cleaned up in time. I still have that one cheesy Frigidaire modern plastic potential fireball unit in the garage, which runs on a concrete floor away from flammable items, so I'm not too worried about it. But I've got two good vintage ones in the house here now, so that's much better. I wanted to use this upstairs because it's in really nice cosmetic condition, whereas most of my other ones are kind of beat up. But I think this is just too loud. Alright, it's back together now. Just curious if that light will even come on. I don't know how this bucket works. I think it has to. I think it releases a switch, maybe. Let's see. Pretty sure that would turn it off. Yeah, that seems to turn it off now. Here's the question: is that light on? Oh well. Yep, the light's working. Appears to be an old neon indicator. So it does work. We just gotta figure out how the heck to get it there. I really think that some piece is missing. That's my speculation. Alright, let's put this in and start it up. I don't know what that hole is for. It's kind of weird. Oh, maybe that's to drain it? To dump it out? That's kind of cool. It's a nice big tank, as all these old machines were. It's bigger than the junky plastic garbage tanks you get in the junky plastic garbage new ones. Alright, we are testing at 119.5 the volts, which is pretty high considering how many people likely have the air conditioner on. Yeah, something's rattling. actually already at 7.6 amps, which is very surprising that it's pulling 7.6 amps. And as you can hear, it's extremely loud. And I don't think that that's all noise that should be heard. I think something's loose or rattled. Quite a bit of air is coming. Yeah, something definitely is rattling. So quite a bit of air is coming out the side here, which is interesting. Good circulation in the room, and not a whole lot is coming out the front. It seems like most of it kind of comes out the side. Gosh, this is horribly loud. Something's got to be wrong. It just doesn't seem like it should be that loud. It's not fan or compressor noise, it's something's vibrating. We're going to have to go through this and give it a good check over this, make sure everything's tight and not messed up or something. Still drawing 7.6 amps, which is really weird. 610 watts, power factor 0.69. That's a horrible power factor. I guess everything here is shaded cold, which is dumb because this could have easily been a lot more efficient by using PSC equipment. It's still 7.6 amps. I'm surprised it's that much. It's dripping on the outside here. It's a little bit frosty on the inside. Give it a few minutes to get going. It should be fine. The bucket does have the spot for a continuous drain, but you got to drill that out, which I don't want to do, because then you can never go back to using it as a bucket. Although I suppose you could put like a hose cap over it. Yeah, see, yeah, something's loose. Just making all that awful racket. This is going to be banished to the garage if I can't get this to quiet down. This would be audible through the entire house if I had this set up downstairs here. Forget about filming with this turned on. Alright, well I'm going to give it some time to sort itself out. It's still got a bunch of ice in the middle here. I don't know why, it's 76 degrees down here for no reason. It's close enough. So we'll give it some time to get going and then we'll come back on the video. The first droplets of humidity are dehumidifying from the air. Should have gone down lower because it looks like all the humidity is rolling back. This should have come down all the way to the bottom and then gone back up so it didn't happen. It doesn't seem to really be a functional problem as there's no signs of water on the other side, but it's just not the way I would have designed it. moisture. It's only 36% humidity down here. It is still pulling 7.6 amps, which I will gladly run as opposed to a modern one, which is a potential issue of health and safety matters. I'll gladly pay the extra to run something that's safe, but it just seems like a lot more than it should be. And if it wasn't so close to the rated, I would say there's actually something might be wrong, but it's allowed to draw 7.5, it's pulling 7.6, that's not unreasonable. I just would have expected it to be less than that. There's definitely something, if not multiple things, rattling inside. We kind of hold the cover in certain ways. It becomes a little quieter. And I can tolerate that much noise. That's just fan and compressor. With all that extra vibration, I cannot tolerate. Like 39, 36 in the middle, 34, 35. 43. Looks like between 40 and 42 degrees is most of the coil. We have an ambient right now of 77, and the coil is on average about 40, give or take a couple of degrees in certain areas. So it's got 40 at 77. If we subtract 8, which goes down to 69 degrees, that's 32, it's going to ice up. So this one likely will not work very well below 70, which is fairly common of these better units. Anything with 22, 134, any kind of good refrigerant, once you get past like 70, 71, they tend to ice up. Now this does have the automatic defrost, so at least if it does frost up, it's not going to damage the equipment, but it's still just not going to work that good. Icing up and then defrosting, icing up, defrosting, etc. That's the one area that I will say that the newer dehumidifiers have gotten better, is that they seem to be able to operate down to lower temperatures. From my experience, the newer dehumidifiers with the junk refrigerants will operate fairly well down to about 63, which is not a big jump compared to 71. It's not even 10 degrees, but because a lot of basements are cooler, that range of 7 or 8 degrees might be in the threshold of one piece of equipment works and one piece of equipment doesn't. That often happens around here. This is working very well. It's pulling a lot of moisture. It's only 36% down here. It's still dripping quite a bit. That's impressive. It's certainly not drawing all that power for nothing. Got to get this to quiet down. Definitely something rattling in there. It really collected quite a bit of moisture considering how low the humidity is down here. Well, it definitely needs some work. We got to figure out why it's so rattly. But once we figure that out, this seems like it'd be a very good, powerful machine. And of course, it doesn't get better than free.